Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. The 25th day of June, tomorrow, Wednesday, the Gen Z are telling the president that because you failed to account for the young people that were killed last year, we want to remember them. And this is now a hot topic in this country as we speak about what will happen when these young people come to the streets to register their frustration with the Kenya Kwanza regime. Kenyan did an expose on stream of coordinated move by State House team to try to scuttle that protest. I want us to look at that, but first, I want to humbly request you to subscribe to our channel, click notification bell and like our videos, and thank you very much for supporting this podcast. Subscription is absolutely free, but the advantage is when you subscribe to our channel, you'll be getting notifications whenever we publish our videos. So make sure you subscribe, and you won't miss any of our videos. It is a shame that as citizens prepare to march in memory of those who were killed last year for simply demanding justice, the reports of conspiracy moves that entities within the administration are quietly plotting to meet them with violence once again.
Imegundua kuwa wabunge wengine 5 pamoja na gavana mmoja wamepewa majukumu mahsusi ya kuvuruga maandamano hayo. Katika mpango huu fiche, KTN imegundua kuwa wabunge wengine 5 pamoja na gavana mmoja wamepewa majukumu mahsusi ya kuvuruga maandamano hayo. Wabunge waliotajwa ni 2 kutoka kaunti ya Kisii, 2 kutoka Mlima Kenya na mbunge mwanamke kutoka Bonde la Ufa. Mnamo Jumatatu Juni tarehe 16, siku moja kabla ya maandamano ya Jumanne yaliyopelekea kuuawa kwa Albert Ojwang, kundi hili la wabunge lilikutana kwa siri katika hoteli ya Sarova Pan-Africa jijini Nairobi kwa takriban saa 2 kujadili mikakati ya kuyadhibiti maandamano hayo. Matokeo ya mkutano huo yalionekana wazi mitaani. Makundi ya wahuni waliokuwa na marungu yalizunguka jiji wakieneza hofu bila kukamatwa. Katika maeneo mengine, walionekana wakijaza mafuta kwenye pikipiki zao mbele ya polisi, huku wakiimba nyimbo dhidi ya maandamano. Mpango huu dhidi ya waandamanaji unajumuisha maafisa wakuu serikalini, wakuu wa mashirika ya umma na wapiga propaganda mtandaoni, ukilenga kuwahusisha wahuni katika maeneo muhimu ya maandamano jijini Nairobi, kuwapatia silaha kama rungu na kuwaachia washambulia waandamanaji wasiokuwa na ulinzi. KTN imebaini kuwa maelfu ya marungu yaliyotengenezwa kwa mtindo mmoja tayari yamesafirishwa hadi jijini, yakitengenezwa katika kiwanda binafsi kilichoko na nyuki kinachodaiwa kumilikiwa na mwanasiasa wa eneo hilo. Vifaa hivyo vinasemekana kusafirishwa hadi Nairobi kwa kutumia magari ya polisi. Uandikishaji wa washambuliaji unalenga vijana wasio na ajira kutoka mitaa ya mabanda ya Nairobi kama vile Mathare, Korogocho, Kibera, Kawangware na Kayole. KTN imepata jumbe za WhatsApp na maelezo ya ndani yanayofichua undani wa operesheni hii ya kupinga maandamano. Operesheni hii inaongozwa na mwanamke aitwaye Antonella Kakuko, anayefahamika kisiasa kama Nella. Ni mshiriki mkuu wa timu ya mawasiliano ya UDA na ambaye amekabidhiwa jukumu la kukusanya mamilioni ya pesa kufanikisha mpango huu. Jumbe zake za hivi karibuni zinaonyesha mwanamke mwenye hasira kali aliye na ajenda fiche. Kwa mfano hii: marehemu watarajiwa wa Wednesday is Wednesday na Occupy State House and other protected areas, laleni salama. Hiyo haraka ya kwenda Sayuni sijui mmeitoa wapi.
And this report really was released, and it's really shocking on why we are stopping this law. And I normally say, Kenya Kwanza have brought themselves here. They have themselves to blame for the current situation in the country. Immediately after Gen Z protest last year, I did that analysis here, and I kept on saying that apportioning blames and sideshows and propaganda and the bullets, the weapons to suppress and push these people from the streets so that they go to tweet, if it is not accompanied by a real transformation, then the country will actually oscillate around the same problem. That killing people to intimidate and create fear, and even the handshake with Raila to try to pull Raila money from the streets, if all that was not accompanied by an intent to transform the country, then I said we have a long way to go. After rounds of staged gestures of reform, nothing seemed to have changed. As soon as protest faded and pressure eased, the system snapped right back to its old self, to business as usual. The same arrogance, same disregard for the people, same toxic indifference that sparked the protests in the first place is what met the Kenyan people. And the president is a cornered man. I've listened to his speech today on what he was actually telling the police, and I can outrightly say without fear of contradiction that Kenya Kwanza regime is cornered.
To our policemen and women, I want to say that as president, I am very proud of what our security agencies have been able to do to secure our nation, to secure our properties, and to make sure that our families can sleep in peace. I will continue to make sure that every security officer, every person who puts their lives on the line for our nation, so that our families can be safe, so that our properties can be safe, and so that our nation can be safe, I will make sure that this nation stands by them and supports them. And I say this without fear of any contradiction, because without peace and security, without stability, we don't have a nation. It is just as simple as that. And as Kenyans, we must be clear on how we go and where we go and how we get where we want to get. I must say this as president, that without peace, without security, without stability, we don't have a nation. The people who put their lives on the line to make sure that our families are safe, that our properties and nation is safe and stable, are our security agencies. As they put their lives on the line, we as a nation will support them. This administration will stand by them so that they can discharge their responsibilities within the law and make sure that our nation is safe. For the people who want to undermine, demean, try to intimidate our security agencies, I am telling them you're doing the wrong thing. Our security men and women deserve every support that we can muster for them to secure our nation. And we must work with them. And therefore, to every police officer, from the constable, the man on the beat, I give you my assurance that the government of Kenya will support you.
Of course, congratulations to Police FC. They won the Kenya Premier League. There is a team that is managed by Kenya Police, kind of. The president is right to demand for the respect of security agencies. But in the same measure, he should also be bold enough be courageous enough to face the men and women in uniform who have been caught in very extrajudicial killings in the recent months. You cannot have such a speech without mentioning and castigating and condemning the police who are caught killing Kenyans mercilessly. And once again, the script that was last year of criminal elements running this, of criminal elements infiltrating the protest, once again, that narrative is here, and the president has, even before the protest, he stood with the police and is not acknowledging the right of Kenyans to enjoy Article 37. Article 37. So that is something that you can read from that clip. When you look at the other expose that I played, it is a shame that State House characters and all that people in the web, I've seen them quite a number denying, and of course they have the right, all that is subject to veracity, to a thorough veracity. So, but I strongly believe that the fact that state is already being perceived and being branded as the people that are behind instability during these protests, it is difficult how they might actually get under, and they might get away with it. And remember last week when there were protests, Nairobi governor and goons who are acting on behalf of the governor and were caught on camera praising the governor were dispatched in the city. With such information, I don't know how the state is supposed to escape blame. If there were goons in Nairobi, they harassed the people, they intimidated the masses, and the police bosses and even Nairobi leadership tried to distance themselves from what an outright violation of the Public Order Act. Police have the Public Order Act and the National Police Service Act. These two tools are have a prescription on how the police operations are supposed to be conducted. So clear. Anything outside the law is what we call the strange order. And even to see people that the president must be very careful, and even with this, emboldening the police is to achieve an objective, which I'm going to explain here. I saw Maua, member of parliament, Ameriwa Maua, Maragwa, member of parliament, begging the government just to allow the children to protest. I don't know why this right has now reduced to the privilege of the president.
Tunajua kuna maandamano ya watoto wetu, the Gen Zs. Ni ombi letu kama wazazi kuwaomba, kwa sababu within the constitution it is their right kupicket na kudemonstrate ndio waweze kujieleza ni shida gani wako nazo, kwa sababu tuko na shida mingi ambazo ziko kati yetu. Lakini kama wazazi na viongozi tunaomba tu wenye watatokelezea wakuwe na utulivu na heshima na respect kwa vitu za wananchi wale wengine, na pia kwa health ya kila yeyote. Tunawaomba tu tukiweza kuepukana na maneno ya injuries, tukiweza kuepukana na watu kuibiwa mali zao au kuharibiwa mali zao, na pia tunaomba askari wetu wachunge hawa watoto vizuri, waweze kujieleza, kwa sababu hiyo ni constitutional right yao, na wao wasitumie zile silaha wamepewa kiholela au ovyo ovyo. Hatutaki kuona maneno kama ile imekuwa, especially wakati huu tunasikia kuna mmoja ameaga kwa sababu kuna askari ambao wametumia ile silaha ako nayo vibaya. Wacha tuseme kila yeyote ako na health yake ya kuchunga na kuchunga health na properties za watu wale wengine.
Well, it is actually enshrined in the Constitution. It is not at the president's mercies for the people to enjoy article, to take action of article, through Article 37. And I want to associate with what the Catholic bishops are saying. It is true that the administration does not have a bigger problem apart from a delivery problem. That is the problem. An arrogant and moral problem. It is tone deaf on concerns of the people. Because were it not that the Kenyans were told at the government that, look here, it is your police who are killing people. You're told it is the people in government who are doing these things. But the president kept on protecting them. And I didn't mean, and I don't really mean that they don't deserve, the rogue elements don't deserve rights. But again, the system has insisted on maintaining even the dirty chaffs within it. Catholic bishops have reacted to this matter, and in their first press briefing, really putting their voice on this. The president must get it right.
Painfully, we recall the more recent deaths of Father John Maina, Father Alois Bet, and that of Albert Ojwang, and others whose lives were taken in unexplained and violent circumstances. These are not merely names. These are our brothers, sisters, priests, sons, and daughters, and friends who deserved protection and justice. The cold-blooded shooting of Boniface Kariuki by a police officer at point-blank range is most shocking. Security officers are sworn to protect, not to harm. When those charged with upholding law and order become the source of fear and injustice, it signals a moral crisis in the state. These incidents are not isolated. They follow a disturbing pattern that threatens our national commitment to the Constitution and human rights. The life of every Kenyan matters. Kenya must stop at a loss of life and not just move on. When a poor village boy violently loses his life, it is just as tragic as when an important politician loses his. Kenyans must mourn both equally. We can't just move on. Kenya deserves better. Holy Scripture teaches God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Genesis chapter 1. And he commands us, you shall not kill.
People deserve listening and support, not suppression. It has now been 1 year since our young people, often referred to as Gen Z, took to the streets. By and large, the protests began as a peaceful protest against rising taxation and what they described as a system that increasingly ignores their voices. They were expressing what many Kenyans had already felt and expressed. These youth-led demonstrations reminded us of the power of civic consciousness and the rightful place of young people in shaping the country's direction. However, the protests soon degenerated into violent encounters and brutal use of force, leading to a huge loss of lives, especially of the young people. As bishops, We appeal to the youth to exercise their rights peacefully and within the law. Since then, the church and other civic actors have sought to engage them meaningfully, offering platforms for dialogue and participation. The teaching of Pope Francis of happy memory is indeed timely.
This time, we can't afford again to lose lives, because the country is out. The country is saying this is the direction. The country is saying we must show you, we must show respect to those young people who fought for this country last year. I have seen an archaic and an escape narrative from Murkomen, and I think it is beating the drums of war to allude to the fact that, and it's an affront on the government, it's a big shame for the government, for Murkomen to allege that some opposition people are buying machetes and facilitating youths for protests.
Have received a notice from some of the political actors who, Your Excellency, not just few months ago, they were standing where I'm standing. They were defending law and order. They were standing against the chaos. But Your Excellency are sitting now planning, buying machetes and rungus, trying to distribute to young people to cause violence in town. And they want us to sit here, fold our hands, and say that that is an Article 37 of our Constitution. Your Excellency, the national police and our police officer must be ruthless in dealing with such criminals, because we want this country to be a country of law and order, not a country of chaos, so that all of us can be able to thrive in this nation. Young people in this country don't deserve to be running battles in the streets. They deserve to be playing football like this young. These are their generation. These are their colleagues. We want to give them an opportunity to grow. It is not an opportunity to be used by political actors to cause violence. Lastly, I want to say, Your Excellency, in the ministry we are ready to...
With Rungos. You cannot blame it on Rigathi, while the same government has security agencies at its disposal, the NIS at its disposal, and all the other state players in this space are at the disposal of the president. So instead, if Murkomen wants us to believe that Rigathi are the ones that brought Rungus, come on, this is just to show you how government is not ready and is not willing to crack the whip. They're not willing, they're not ready, and they won't do it. You can't seem to, now you want to blame Rigathi Gachagua for the characters we saw in the streets with Rungus, with all that. And the sad part of it, that is one tool that's saying, you know, those who are going there have been given machetes by the opposition. The other one is to stage an animosity between those who support government and sadly, people from this side of Luo Nyanza and our brothers from Mount Kenya. We can't just afford that. And I just wanted to play this. I just want to play this video. And this video, I want to play a video here I want us to see. And this video is a confirmation that those who are actually planting tribal wedge as the tool of scuttling this protest must understand that Kenyan problem is a universal problem. Yes.
Yes, I want to talk to our people. There is no way somebody can convince me as a Luo to start hating on Kikuyus. You cannot convince me. And Peter Kaluma and other leaders, I want to tell you this categorically. Yes, you will not intimidate us and you will not tell us what to do. We are in this war too, and this is our war. You cannot convince me that all of a sudden somebody I rejected in 2022 has all of a sudden become a very good person. You will not convince me, and this is not Kikuyu's war. This is our war too. And you cannot start telling me that he hates Kikuyus, Kikuyus are this, Kikuyus are that. How do you want to convince me to hate my aunties, to hate my friends, to hate my in-laws, to hate my boyfriend if I have one? You see, you cannot start convincing me to hate people for your own benefits. And I want to tell you this categorically. We don't hate Kikuyus. Personally, I've worked with Kikuyus. When Aluo is doing a business with Kikuyu, that business will flourish. When a Luo woman has married a Kikuyu man, that marriage is perfect. When a Luo man has married a Kikuyu lady, that marriage is perfect. How do you want us to hate our people? For crying out loud. So me as a beautiful Luo lady like this, I am going for that mandamano on Wednesday. So think of yourself. You're not fighting for yourself. You're fighting for this country. You're fighting for your next generation. Let no politician convince you at this is not your war na yeye akupale anakula aezi kosa a daily meal. Wewe mwenyewe hauna hata job alafu somebody is telling you this is not your war. Come on. This is our war. This is our war. Now those people who are saying that who will be the next president when we do away with Ruto, who can be president? We are millions of Kenyans, and only less than 400 people cannot intimidate our minds if they don't want to live in this country the way we want them to live, and they cannot follow the rule of law. They should pack and leave us to lead this country. We cannot be frustrated by few people, few individuals in this country. Even that Ruto, he is not willing to lead this country as we want. He should pack and go. Nobody is forcing him to live in Kenya. So wewe kama wendi maandamano, hiyo ni shida yako, lakini sisi Wednesday we are there. Thank you.
Kenyan problem, it's a universal problem. Let me give you a good example. Do you know, guys, we were supporting Kijana, our son, Steve. I was in Kisumu here. Do you know there are 3 MRIs? And if I'm lying, someone in Kisumu can confirm. One in Kokakan, Guinea in some facility, and one in another facility. The government facility here, which is Russia Hospital, which was allegedly elevated to level 6, does not have a working MRI machine. Imagine. I'm told the image, if it succeeds to give you one, it's going to be a very blurry image. So, and these are the things we say. This is what matter. This is the nitty-gritties of the public service that the public is demanding. I was shocked, by the way. So those people waging tribal, as the tools, I see the gauchos. Gaucho is a very small person, does not even need an airtime. It's not worth an airtime in this podcast anyway. Talking about, tribal this, tribal that. Come on. Hizo ni ujinga. Ukabila ni ujinga. Ruto has a missed call from Kenyans, and I can really interpret the kind of mood. I even see the UK and the US envoys. They have also issued they are telling the president to allow the strike to go on, to the protest to go on, and let them just protect the establishments. Then we see what can happen. But the president fears. Let me tell you, this issue of allowing protests to happen, that it is going to destroy people's properties. Can I tell you why? The police can protect the property. What the president doesn't want are numbers in town, because sitting in numbers. When that number is huge, you cannot manage that number. Hawataki watu. Not that people are going to die, don't destroy properties. No. They don't just want many numbers in town, because they know when the number is huge, it is going to give a big picture about what is happening. I can see here that President Ruto feels his regime is very shaky. And clearly he's clinging on police for survival. After Albert killing and Boniface shooting at Nairobi, the opposition together, Gachagua, have been telling the police that you must be careful with orders from above. And in fact, it's true. The president is telling them, I have your backing. If the president has the backing of the police, Constable Mkhwana akondani, and some of them acted on orders to kill Albert, orders from above. The guy from above has been acquitted. And DPP does not prefer any charges against the person who gave the orders. That is not existing anywhere. So as the president is gaslighting the police about orders, about respect, about the support, you must also know, and that we must say, the security agencies must understand that you bear personal responsibility. When you go to the street with that bullet, you may never know. You will shoot someone only to realize you've shot your sister's son. Someone will shoot, when you look the other side, you realize it is your nephew that has been shot by a fellow police officer. So as we fancy shooting and killing, we must be responsible. The children in the streets are our siblings. They are our children. You know, they are our sisters. They are our brothers, and they are harmless. If you shoot, can we see you shooting someone carrying a TV from a shop? Then tell us that's a thug. Someone breaking into someone's shop, shoot that one there. Maybe we say, okay, sawa huyu aliiba. But kufyatua kati ya crowd because you want people to disperse, we must not go that direction. Any spiraling protest cannot be controlled by Raila influence anymore. In fact, it's very delicate. If the protest spiral, not even Raila Odinga influence will be able to control it. Yes. And there is this issue that must be said. I must disabuse it. I see some Luo characters here moving around saying the way there is some clique of Kikus who don't want the Luos in government. That's what the protest is about it. We must know that last year, June 25th, when the protest happened, there was no handshake between Raila and William Ruto. So that handshake, so when people are demanding justice and are protesting, framing that protest as an anger between two people, and I think the Kikuyu members of parliament and the cabinet members, they must confront the president and ask the president, what kind of nonsense is that? Opondo Kalomas should not be allowed to get away with such nonsense. There is a colossal collapse of Kenya Kwanza system, and the young people have many reasons to protest. So this is a protest against the system. Opposition axis will clearly identify with the young people, looking at how they conduct themselves around this protest. And that is why President and his team are stooping to its lowest point just to make sure they crush this. But I still have a plea to our security agencies. Tafadhali, those are our siblings. Those are our nephews. Some of our parents are also there. Hao ni wazazi ambao walipoteza watoto wao. It will be so bad if you shoot the mother or the father of a victim of last year's protest. If they decide to go to parliament and take a petition, they carry the flowers, let them take the flowers to parliament. But if you choose to do it in terms of crushing the way the state is threatening, this country belongs to all of us. And all of us have the right to enjoy one, so long as it doesn't cross with the other person. Thank you.